At the beginning of this week, Bitcoin managed to return to the important level of $70,000, which was a great event for all investors. But now we see a lot of positive news, like the return of capital inflows into ETFs, accumulation from the whales that are reducing the supply of Bitcoin on the exchanges, analysts' positive predictions about the end of the correction before the halving, as well as a statement from Larry Fink, who believes in Bitcoin during a time of rising U.S. government debt. But despite so much positive news, there are some events that signal that not everything is as rosy as it may seem at first glance. Firstly, the U.S. government is once again tightening cryptocurrency regulations, and just this week the Federal Prosecutor's Office accused the KuCoin exchange of money laundering, and yesterday the court backed the SEC and agreed that Coinbase was illegally trading in securities. Referring to our past experience, we know very well that court cases with crypto exchanges do not end well. KuCoin has already withdrawn more than $1 billion, and everyone is worried about the fate of Coinbase, as it's the main exchange that holds Bitcoin for almost all ETF funds. Also, despite the fact that BlackRock and Fidelity have resumed Bitcoin accumulation, Grayscale continues to sell $200 million worth of Bitcoin per day. And this really raises a lot of questions among investors, because no one understands whether the market is going to grow now or whether we are in for a deeper correction. Let's get to the bottom of this question. Watch the video to the end. We'll start with the main topic that caused Bitcoin to drop 4% on March 28th and break the 70,000 level. This happened after a judge ruled that the SEC made a compelling argument that Coinbase was operating as an unregistered broker, exchange, and clearinghouse. And most importantly, the judge stated that Coinbase offered and sold unregistered securities through its staking program. For those who don't remember, the whole story with SEC and Coinbase started last year, when in June, the SEC sued Coinbase for selling at least 13 coins that are considered securities, which caused Bitcoin to fall by 10%, and altcoins such as Solana to fly 40% down. Yes, there was a big storm in the market back then. But what does the judge's ruling on Coinbase mean for the cryptocurrency market in the current situation? Coinbase's general counsel was not surprised by the judge's decision and said that they were prepared for it. Of course, this is not positive news for Coinbase, because this exchange is not only the main exchange in the United States and the second exchange in the world, but Coinbase is also the main partner of funds. It's Coinbase that stores Bitcoins of BlackRock, Fidelity, and other funds. That's why the market reacted so actively to the judge's decision. However, this does not mean that the Coinbase exchange will close. First of all, the judge set April 19th as the date when the two sides will complete their charges and arguments for defense, and only after that will we have a clear understanding of the implications of these proceedings. Secondly, I doubt the SEC can move forward, because the US doesn't have clear rules for cryptocurrency. And it takes a lot of time to prove that a particular coin is a security, and it's not always successful. A living example is XRP. Therefore, we'll closely follow the news, and if something appears, you'll be the first to know about it. So subscribe to the channel. The next question concerns ETFs, because last week's total outflows from ETFs totaled over $500 million. Bitcoin almost fell below the 60,000 level, but on Monday, the funds woke up and realized that Bitcoin was trading at a great price. Because of that, already on Tuesday, the capital inflows amounted to $418 million. But here Grayscale is still selling. The first reason is the high commissions, which are 5 times higher than other ETFs. And the second is profit-taking by investors who invested in Bitcoin through Grayscale back in 2013. But there is good news. According to Arkham, in 96 days, Grayscale may sell all of its Bitcoins, which will significantly reduce the pressure on Bitcoin. And considering that funds such as BlackRock or Fidelity, on the contrary, demonstrate active demand for Bitcoin and buy up to 5,000 coins per day, this is the best catalyst for Bitcoin in the coming months. The ETF's inflow and outflow rate is the best indicator for current Bitcoin price forecasting. After all, if we know in advance that funds are accumulating Bitcoin, it could be a good opportunity to capitalize on its growth. While Bitcoin is stuck in the range of about $70,000 and everyone is closely following the developments around the SEC and Coinbase, Larry Fink decided to take the situation into his own hands and attend 3 interviews on the most important TV channels in the USA, where he voiced his positive forecasts about Bitcoin and once again stated that it is the best asset that can save our money amid the crazy growth of the US government debt. On Tuesday, Larry Fink gave a big interview on Bloomberg Channel where he discussed a lot of different topics, but we're interested in his opinion about the national debt and of course Bitcoin. Larry Fink said, "In 2000, the US deficit was $8 trillion. Today it's $34 trillion. So in 23 years, we've increased our deficit by $26 trillion. And it turns out that in 240 years, we've increased our deficit to $8 trillion. And in the last 23 years, we've increased it by $26 trillion. That's a clear indication of what is happening in our country today." He also said, "When I talk about these statistics, it scares me." As you may have noticed, Larry Fink is really concerned about the national debt issue. Indeed, the growth of the national debt is now at peak levels. And the interesting thing is that the US government is doing absolutely nothing to solve the problem, which is why Larry Fink believes in Bitcoin. Also yesterday, Larry Fink was called on Fox News TV, where they asked him what he thinks about ETFs. And he said, "Our Bitcoin ETF, it's the fastest growing ETF in history. Look, I'm very optimistic about the long-term viability of Bitcoin. We're now creating a market that has more liquidity and transparency, and I'm pleasantly surprised, and I never would have predicted this before." You see, Larry Fink is a very influential person in the world. After all, he is the man who runs the largest investment company, BlackRock. Live on America's main TV channels, he says that the US is in very big trouble because of the national debt, but that Bitcoin is a great bailout. And if you think Bitcoin is a scam and believe it will fall to zero, just look around and wipe your eyes. Everything changed a long time ago, and in front of you sits one of the most influential people in the world who directly says that Bitcoin has a future. Larry Fink's opinion carries a lot of weight in the financial markets, and imagine how many investors started buying Bitcoin after his predictions. For Bitcoin itself, this is the best catalyst for growth, because on January 10th, everything changed, and now the fate of this digital gold is in the hands of big funds, which more than anyone else have everything to push its price up. Therefore, we should not forget about this fundamental factor that ensures the long-term growth of Bitcoin. Thanks for watching.